Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the week off, but we are back. My name is Taj Ayana, and I thought I was cool until the Acoustic Man arrived. We got Kevin here from Acoustic Revolt. What's up, brother?
How's it going? So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hey, I know we've been talking about this for a while. Hey, man. I am sorry for the delay. I know
It's quite all right.
gonna have to change the name of this pod to thought I was not gonna be stuck in traffic. Oh yeah, where are my manners? Zae's here, but we know that.
Hello.
The light skin wonder. We got all new lighting. Last week was fucking horrible for the Josh Bland podcast.
Terrible.
Well, yeah,
It's
we're
looking
back.
good.
Hell yeah.
Much better. Much better.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we're just gonna dive right into it. I know your girl's hitting you up.
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, yeah,
we got time. We got time.
All right, you're out late
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
All right, and once again, as you know, per usual, we are at the Rabbit Hole in Normal Heights. Zae, what is that address again?
3377 Adams Avenue.
3377 Adams Avenue. Come through, get a beer. Not on me, but yeah,
No,
we'll do that.
100% on Taj.
Oh shit. Fuck. All right. Yeah, Rabbit Hole. Kev, you run something called Acoustic Revolt.
Yeah.
And we met we're not going to get into the
The recent events.
yeah, we're not going to get into the recent events, but we met a time before that, and what you do is you're really big on or what your business does is you bring in artists from all around the country or all around the world, and you give them a chance to come into different bars or different venues and perform and show their stuff off and kind of get their shit out there. And I know you're going to get into the album you guys are working on a little bit later. But yeah, if you want to just tell how you started off with that, and then we can start to get into your story afterwards.
Yeah, so Acoustic Revolt is really just an opportunity for artists to share their art, share their voice, and give them an opportunity to hopefully make something while they're on tour, make something of themselves while they're out trying to get the word out about who they are and what kind of music they do. I've got lots of artists that work here locally, who are in full 4-piece, 5-piece, or larger bands, and come and do a stripped down, kind of broken down acoustic set. Mm-hmm. Some other artists are just straight solo artists, and they have their own thing going on, and they're touring the country or the world. And I've got people that start off just doing maybe one show a year, and I've got others that do maybe 3 or 4 a year. So we've got a large volume of local San Diego talent that I would say has a streak of kind of punk rock that runs through it, but it's not exclusive to punk rock. I would say it's a fairly eclectic kind of folk punk group that we get, okay. But it's pretty all over the map in terms of genres. We're kind of, I like to say, like genre agnostic. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
What got you into that? What made you want to do that?
Yeah, so like many years back, there was a bar down the street. It's actually where I met my girlfriend. It was Bar 11 when I met her, and before that, it went through a phase. It was Radio Room, Zombie Lounge. It went through all kinds of names. Had a really cool vibe. Lots of great punk acts came through there, and we always had this issue where, like, in some cases, you'd have this really dynamic vocalist who had a really great album. We'd see them at big shows, and they sounded great. But sometimes, like in a small venue, when you're dialing up, bass amps and multiple acoustic or multiple electric guitar amps all the way to 11, it's the vocalist gets buried. The singer-songwriter mentality kind of just gets withered away to nothing, really. So I want to give those same artists a chance to share their voice and do a kind of a more broken down, intimate version of their art, and give them a chance to play an acoustic set where their vocals, their songwriting, and everything would really shine through. And I feel like Acoustic Revolt's been pretty successful in doing that, but it's been tricky trying to find time when people are on tour, especially to get them to do a second show where they could, do an acoustic act also.
Right.
Yeah.
That is one thing I liked about from being there up close and personal is you're up close and personal with the artists. It's like they're right there. You can touch them. Obviously, you can throw money in that tip jar.
Yep.
You can buy the merch. It's all right there in front of you, as opposed to as Zae knows, because Zae does his whole band thing where like you're up on a stage and it's kind of hard to get a hold of them. Maybe after the show, you might not get a chance to talk to the drummer or the vocalist. You don't always have access. But with Acoustic Revolt, they're right there. You know what I mean? It's boom, conversation. Let's have a drink. Like they tend to stick around. As you know, me and one of your guys became good friends.
Yep, absolutely. Sometimes people stick around a little longer than others.
All right, now that we got that out of the way for why you're here, let's get into your story a little bit and let's lead into how you landed here doing Acoustic Revolt. Where'd you start, man? Like a little bit of background.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I guess music for me has always been a part of my life. I started at a very young age, playing the clarinet, and I got good enough to doing that where I was like, I think I could, continue doing music for a portion of my life. I was definitely interested, but that wasn't really the instrument for me. And I knew I wanted to do something, but I never really got back to playing an instrument until much later. I did a little bit of I grew up in a church background, singing and everything. Grew up Catholic. I was at church every Sunday, and so I built my voice that way. And over time, I realized I really kind of want to do this kind of rock thing. I did a lot of writing hip hop lyrics when I was in high school. And I kind of made a switch when I got to college. A lot of my friends got into punk, and I was like, I don't know if I'm really.
What was your rap name?
DJ K Swizzle. I was about to get the tattoo too. I'm really glad I didn't.
Who was your who was your influences? I know we're around the same age.
Yeah. Hip hop influences. My first concert was probably one of the best shows I could have ever went to in my life. Honestly, it was spectacular. It was DMX, Jay-Z, Redman, and Method Man. That was my first concert.
Oh my god!
It was $25. Yeah, here at the sports arena. It was epic.
That's so cool.
It was that cool. Changed my life.
Did they perform the Rockwaller?
they played all the hits. It was spectacular. Yeah, it was, and it was right the heyday of when DMX was real hot.
Yeah.
Second album was coming out. Jay-Z was at the top of the world. It was spectacular. Yeah, so those hip hop roots still stuck with me because I liked writing lyrics, and that was a big part of it. I realized I got to have an instrument if I ever want to do anything with this. Mm-hmm. So I started I went to Grossmont College here locally, and I found out they have a guitar class you can take. It's super cheap, and the instructor was awesome. Some of my friends were taking that class, and they were coming weeks out, learning all these songs that I was like, oh my gosh, it only takes a few weeks to learn how to play a song on guitar.
Right.
So I got into it, and I was like, wow, I want to make something of this. So I started doing the band thing for a little bit, trying to find people to play with. Me and a couple of the cooks that I worked at Jimmy's in Santee, and we got together, and we were doing it was I guess you would call it Mexican rock, really. We were playing I could say 80% of our songs were in Spanish. We do a couple Beatles covers, a couple classic rock covers, but most of our stuff was in Spanish. And I was just playing guitar at that point, and I did a couple songs where I would actually take on the vocal role and sing them in Spanish or in English. Okay. And that was a lot of fun. And over the years, I kept with it and did a couple other punk bands here and there, but I always wanted to be involved with the community, and that was something that really attracted me to being involved at the extent that I am now. Is there was something about this that brought people together in a way that I was really appreciative of, how people are tolerant, people are friendly, and people generally are just looking to have a great time and make friends. Whereas I feel like it motivated me to want to help build a community when you have that going on in the punk community. So that was great to see.
And you already come from the whole community building theme in your life, because you said you were big into church when you were younger.
Oh yeah, I was at church.
So I'm guessing your parents were super religious, and So what was life at home like?
Yeah. So we were not just at church on Sunday. Family, we go in and help out with events, funerals, weddings, and stuff like that. Whether I was bussing tables for a family that couldn't afford to pay for, catering for their wedding, or being involved with, I was an altar boy, so I was always working on, there was always some kind of event that we were involved with on top of going to church on Sunday. So it was definitely, a big part of my life growing up. And, I made lots of great friends along the way. Yeah.
Parents still together now?
Yeah. Parents are definitely, going strong, and they're still very active in the church. I don't really do the church thing anymore, but, more power to the people that, that does something special for them,
What kind of got you off that?
I would say, as I got older, most of my friends kind of stopped going, and I kind of felt maybe some of the way I viewed the world at large was very different than it was when I was younger. And I was, grew up in a very sheltered community in East County, Santee. And then I kind of, went to college, spread my horizons a little bit, got some different perspectives out there. And I knew that, maybe one specific religion wasn't for me. So I kind of take on a multi-spiritual kind of approach to the way I look at the world at large.
Yeah. I was kind of the same way. My family is real, Bible thumping, big Christians, crosses on the wall, pictures of Jesus on the wall. When you go into the house, they'll throw a Bible verse at you in a second. But that was just never me. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And my mom used to have to drag me to church. And then as I got older, I was just no. I don't know. I guess I was just a fucking depressed kid that you know what I mean? Just the thought of church, I was just what's the point, man? I don't know. But now as I get older, I'm starting to fall a little bit more into the faith. I'm not going to, I'm not going to go completely conservative, but you know what I mean? But I'm starting to get into it more. I do, you know what I'm saying? I got a Bible sitting on my desk at home, and don't read it that much, but I'm starting to fall back into it a little bit. So, okay. So you grew up in the church, good family, your parents are still together.
Yeah.
Do they play instruments or sing or anything like that?
No, actually, I would say like our household wasn't really like a musical household in the sense that like we played instruments or sang together or anything like that. But I did have like grandfather who, he played clarinet also, and we bonded over that. When I first was learning the instrument, he kind of, he tried to show me a few things, and he was always very enthusiastic about music and, liked sharing, his perspective on things. But yeah, I didn't have I also have an aunt who's a music teacher, not blood aunt, she's married, my uncle.
Right.
Yeah. So, I definitely have people who have influenced me with music throughout my family, but not really, in the household per se. Yeah. But there was always Billy Joel playing in the background, Shania Twain when my mom's cleaning, everyone had that mom and dad album that was constantly on all the time. And, definitely got that influence there.
Okay. So who was, middle school, high school-ish, outside of hip hop? Because I know you said you got into rap. Who were like your rock influences? Who were you listening to back then? Who was like,
yeah, I mean,
who had a really big, like, who hit you hard? Everybody's got those artists that man, they fucking got me through days.
Yeah, I remember when I was in 7th grade and Nirvana was just becoming like insanely huge, and we had a school dance and they played Teen Spirit, and all of a sudden people were jumping around, moshing, and they ended up like shutting down the dance pretty much, like to the point where like they're like, hey, everyone has to stop moshing or everyone's gonna have to leave and everything, and like they made like an announcement, or like wow, it's like a big deal, so like I feel like it was it was probably Nirvana was one of the first major alternative bands that really caught my attention to like the kind of counterculture movement and everything that was big happening in the 90s. I feel like, Bush was another big band back then. Green Day definitely struck a chord with most people. And I think the songwriting in particular from Green Day, the lyricism and Dookie, like it just sucked everyone in,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that Green Day did that, because I remember, especially where I was at, like there was a lot of military families, so like different races all mixing, but Green Day really brought it together. Like I remember being on the bus and it didn't matter who was on that bus, everybody was singing the lyrics to Boulevard of Broken Dreams. The moment it come on to the moment it's done, you just look around like, huh, okay, yeah, this is kind of,
yeah.
so I can
My shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's kind
I
of-
mean, when they went international, it was just like they were an
crazy.
unstoppable
Yeah.
force. Like from a little Berkeley band to go to the extent that they have, it's remarkable for a 3-piece punk band to be that successful and to still have the staying power to do things today.
like you could put it on right now in this bar
Yep.
and guarantee over 70% of the people in here are singing along with it. It's
Right,
just,
right.
It's just
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Or
It's,
they'll have a story to go with it.
Exactly,
It just-
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's they did American Idiot too, right?
Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. For the audience, just so you know, like I'm learning today because I'm more of a hip hop head, and this is more of their realm. As you know, Zae, he does the engineering for his own rock band, so like today's gonna be his day to shine when he asks the good questions. I'm gonna follow up on the background stuff, but like when it comes to like the technical and like the music stuff, I think that's where he's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
But
You sure?
yeah, man. So fuck, I'm drawing a blank. I think I drank too much. All right, Zae, what do you got?
You were talking about the influences and stuff from middle school. Like, when did it, seeing that you were doing hip hop before, but and that transition into the punk, how did that come about?
Yeah, it kind of, I feel like every few years I just go through a wave where I kind of get tossed in one direction with music. And, I would say more middle school, I was definitely a rocker. I was skateboarding on a regular basis, and I was, into the rock. I had everyone had the parted hair with the step haircut, Yep, that was the look. And when I got to high school, I was playing basketball on a regular basis, and I was, kind of connecting more with like hip hop culture. And then by the time I got to college, all my friends just like, I would say like, it seemed like almost overnight, all of a sudden they all just kind of moved away from the Puff Daddy kind of era of hip hop where it all became about like, boasting about yourself, and it kind of shifted away from like Tupac's kind of type of message. And I just feel like it got kind of like diluted pretty quickly. Yeah. And then punk was just skyrocketing at that point where emo, screamo punk just like launched off the map. And all of a sudden I went to a punk show and I saw people like, same thing that I saw in 7th grade, people moshing, having a great time, people jumping, hanging from the rafters at a show and everything. And I was just blown away with like the enthusiasm and like the spirit of the crowd to have that much like go through their body and through their mind while they're watching someone else perform. And so seeing bands like Sugar Cult and Yellow Card are what kind of like, I would say like they're like my early like dose to punk rock, and then it quickly evolved from that into more like hardcore screaming bands, like The Used, Finch, and other screamo. It got a bit more aggressive towards like hardcore even. And in my 20s, I had multiple friends that were starting up punk bands, and there was one in particular, a band locally called The Attacks. One of my good friends and the bassist from a band that I worked in, my friend Aaron, was in a band called The Attacks that really drew me to like the underground scene, and seeing that undercurrent and community and like people sharing shows with other local acts and like hopping around between bars. And we had this thing called Awesome Fest that we used to do, where we would get a couple dozen different punk bands together, and it just kind of grew my enthusiasm and interest in being involved with all the punk rock stuff. So
I love how you said when you were in school, your shows had like moshes and all that shit like that, like school dances, like you guys were like just going nuts. When I was younger, our school dances had like, the big thing was like freak dancing.
Freak dance.
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah.
Like young girls twerking, getting boys' dicks hard and shit. And you got the teachers walking in and separating. Like, like before I even knew what moshing even was.
Yeah.
That's pretty nuts.
It was a wild time. Definitely. I feel like school dances have tamed out a little bit, because we got a little bit freak nasty out there for sure.
Oh, yeah? It's getting dirty out there.
My mom works in a middle school currently. Let me tell you, they've only gotten worse.
Really?
It's real bad.
They still got the cafeteria dances, like, or in the gym? Or?
Yeah, kind of that. And then, like, they'll go out to different places, like to bigger venues, and literally, like, separating children.
Still.
Their bodies.
Yeah.
Like, not the most appropriate ways either, on the floor. And you're like, you're children.
Yeah.
Please. These children. So yeah, it's only gotten worse.
When I was in middle school, the teachers were like, they were separating.
Yeah.
In high school, the teachers were kind of just like spectating.
Right.
They didn't give a fuck.
I honestly think the teachers were drunk. That were there. Like, hey, just don't get me caught. We're good,
I don't even blame them. If they want to meet up in the teachers' lounge, like, hey, we about to hit these fucking little shorties called little fucking short liquor, one hitters, like in the fucking teachers' lounge, and let's just watch these kids. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But man.
I think the current policy for lots of the districts is you have to be a pool noodle apart. That's the
a what?
A pool noodle, the width of a pool noodle apart.
The width of what the fuck? Yeah, that's COVID.
Yeah. No, like the skinny side.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not like 6 feet, like 3 or 4 inches. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you can still do some
right, for sure.
That's pretty fucking tough.
Oh, that's
pool
funny.
noodle. Oh man.
All right. So getting through college, punk scenes kicking off. It sounds like what you loved about hip hop was now being put into this new genre of music that hadn't been fully explored, and like that's what grabbed you and kept you there. Is that okay?
Yeah. And it's not that like I never fell out of love with hip hop. I still listen to a little bit of hip hop, and I still have a great appreciation for the lyricism and the hardworking hip hop artists that are out there. I know San Diego still does have a scene. I know at Black Cat Bar, they still have some hip hop nights over there and stuff. And Tower still does some stuff with hip hop. Okay. And I'm always excited to see kind of underground stuff going on.
Right.
I've had friends in the past who kind of worked on both sides of that, where they're like as a hip hop artist, but they're also a guitarist in another band. Yeah. And some people just love the music so much that they can do both sides. I had another friend, Michelle, who did, she did the punk thing, and she also did the hip hop thing. And she did both of them very well at a touring level. You got
to hit me up for one of those nights. You go check out some fucking hip hop artists.
Yeah, I just want to say that.
I used to rap, and I think the one thing that keeps me away from going to go check out hip hop artists, because I want to get them onto the podcast, but I used to rap. So it's kind of like an ego thing. It's like, I don't want to go fucking see these motherfuckers. I'll fucking outspit. I will I will write
just
bars in the car.
Yeah.
Go into the venue.
Yeah.
I know I'm clipping like a motherfucker. Am I?
No,
well, I'm good.
Good. Yeah,
right,
you're getting close. Man.
Yeah.
It's we're good. I have it just below, but it's fine. Good.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
All right, so let's so we went through the childhood, high school, all the noodles apart and all that shit. That's the title of the podcast, by the way.
Noodle apart.
And then all right, so let's get into the adult life. So like you've been around here for a long time. You said you just grew up around.
Yeah. I've lived in San Diego my whole life. Yeah.
All that stuff. So all right. So what was college life like? Who were you dating at the time?
I was so
what were the
broke.
girls like in that scene?
Yeah, I was so broke I couldn't date anybody. You know, I was living at home. I was working. You know, I was a busboy in a restaurant, and then I moved up to being a waiter and everything. But I feel like I never really had enough money to really have like an authentic girlfriend.
You don't need money to get cheeks, man.
Yeah, it was.
You need money to get married.
Right. Yeah, I was like buckled down just enough with making sure I was passing my classes and working like, 25 hours a week or so, that I was like, I'm just going to kind of hold off on the dating thing and just kind of take it easy and make sure I, get the college experience in and make my money out of, down the road, getting it done and not like taking 7 or 8 years to finish college. And then I'll enjoy later on all that stuff, So I kind of took my time with that.
That's good. That's good you say that because, like I said, we get into the whole self-improvement thing and all that stuff. And one thing I want to talk more about is delayed gratification.
Yeah,
like
delayed gratification,
and you thought about your future. You were like, what, I'm about to just buckle down, get this handled, and then boom, 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 stack that bread, get that credit up, and then now you're in a good spot.
Yeah, so, the idea, like, I saw lots of bad relationships in college that did not work out for people, that caused them to fail classes and caused issues with them. And I was like, I don't know if I need that right now,
Yeah.
So I didn't really do a whole lot of like authentic dating in college, but there were ladies.
What year was this that you were in college?
Yeah, so I graduated from high school in 2001. So
2001.
Yeah.
It's funny. Earlier I said we're around the same age, and I didn't realize you were that much older than me.
Yeah, I just hit 40, so I'm the big 40. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So graduated high school 2001. Okay, so you were already a grown ass man by the time the dating apps came out, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been with my girlfriend now for a long time, and we've been long together to the point where there were no dating apps when we first started dating. So
Oh shit.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
We met at Bar 11 when one of my friends did a thing called Whiskey Weekend over there, and she had just moved to town. She lived down the street, and her roommate happened to pop in, and it was funny because her roommate's a male, and they came in together, and I assumed that maybe they were together, but I figured, well, I'll put some work in and
I don't
see
give
how.
a fuck.
I'll find out. I'll check this
Sup,
situation.
mama?
She was by a long shot the hottest girl in that bar, and I was like, I'm gonna go up and check and see how this is going. And I had a little chat with her, and then the roommate came over to check in on her, and I was like, all right, I'll back up a little bit. And I came back like an hour later because I could just see the way she was talking to him. Like, they're not together. I can tell. I put a second line in.
Kept the eyes on her.
Yeah. And I'm glad I did because it ended up working out in the long run. So, I met her over at Bar 11 right off El Cajon Boulevard.
Is that now Soda Bar or
Space Bar?
Okay.
Yeah. Which shockingly, that bar has been through lots of different transitions over the years, but they used to do really great shows back in the day. I haven't seen a lot come out of there. I know they still do shows here and there, but I love to see that them pick it back up.
Right.
I know the post-COVID era, people are just kind of barely getting back to booking touring acts and everything the way they used to.
Speaking of COVID, did you start Acoustic Revolt pre-COVID?
Oh yeah. I've had it going for quite a while. I had an earlier version that technically wasn't Acoustic Revolt. We were just calling it kind of like Acoustic Night back when I used to do it in La Mesa. So I'll give a shout out to two of my really close friends, Matt and Kat, helped me kind of launch this thing because I had this vision where I was like, I saw, like I'd mentioned before, how, we had these great vocalists and songwriters who just weren't being heard at these big shows or even smaller shows, where they're getting drowned out by all the other instrumentation. And I was talking with my friends about, can we get an acoustic night going somewhere? And one of my friends worked at this little tiny bar that's like smaller than this rabbit hole patio by a long shot.
Right.
It was called The Rook. And the owner he used to book bigger events at his other bar.
Fuck, smaller than this patio.
Yeah, it was tiny.
Damn.
They had a little tiny U-shaped bar with maybe 8 seats, and they had a couple little tables and a pool table, and that was it. But we started an acoustic night there, and we'd pack it with like 75 people. We're probably past, East County,
U-shaped bar.
Yeah.
Anytime you see a U-shaped bar.
Oh yeah. When you're looking straight across at someone else, about 20. Yeah, it was definitely that kind of bar for sure. It was right on the fringe of like Spring Valley and La Mesa and City Heights, so it's right at that cross section.
So definitely,
yeah. Right off
It's where they meet.
Yeah, it was a wild place for sure. Lots of weird street traffic, but I got a little start over there. They were willing to entertain the idea of getting an acoustic night going, and it was some of the best sales they'd had. We did the acoustic night, and we kept doing it, and started bringing in. I started with just friends, and then I started asking other people in the community if they want to come out and try it.
Mm-hmm.
Got lots of, Davey Tiltwell came out. I had a couple of other friends from up a little bit further up north. Jared Stinson, who is in a band called Sick Waiting, also Dead Frets. He's one of the guys that helped me connect with lots of the acoustic artists that I still currently book. And he was like, the first big draw that we ever had that was a actual talent. And we, were able to get him some money to come down. And that was kind of the beginning of me getting this idea like, gosh, we could go a little bigger than the Rook Bar. Mm-hmm. And the Rook Bar ended up going to a transition where they shut down and they got sold. And I happened to be moving it around that same time. Mm-hmm. So I just moved right here to Adams Avenue. Mm-hmm. And when we moved to Adams Avenue, I was thinking this would be a good spot. And I put a couple of feelers out there to other bars, but I had my heart set on Rosie O'Grady's. Yeah. And I'm glad it landed the way that it did because I've been there for, I think about 7 or 8 years now. We've been doing Acoustic Revolt.
Oh yeah. I always, when I first saw you, I always wondered, I was like, who the fuck is this guy to the artist? Because I noticed like, obviously Zae comes in, he does the soundboard and he's like fucking around with that. Yeah. But I noticed like while the artists are going, you kept popping up to the soundboard and like, you know what I'm saying? Fucking with the gain and all that shit. Yeah. And I was like, is this guy a fucking fan? Yeah. I was like, does he know? And I think I asked you, I was like, hey, are you up next? Or are you one of the performers? And you're like, nah, I bring these guys in. And I was like, all right, cool. I went back and sat down and I was like, all right, if he manages this, I got to get him on the pod.
Yeah.
That's how that works out.
Yeah. Yeah, back in the day, I used to play a lot of the shows, and I have like a bunch of stuff that I wrote that it kind of worked for solo acoustic stuff, but it was mostly meant for a full band. And I did it. I made it work for a little while, but my kind of thing is, when COVID hit, I was like, I came back and did 1 or 2 shows, but I don't really feel like until I come out with new stuff, I don't want to go back and just dig into stuff from years back. Yeah. I want to write some new stuff and get myself back out there that way instead of just digging back in the old catalog, So I'm taking a little bit of time off to, promote Acoustic Revolt, get that growing and get to the point where I feel comfortable, like, getting in a good songwriting space, hopefully this summer to launch something new. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I hope come out with some good shit, man.
Yeah.
As if you want to come back on and promote that shit, hey, you're more than welcome.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely have plenty of local artists that I think would be interested too. They can send your way. Yeah.
Oh, woo. See, are you ready for that, Zae?
We'll see.
More artists.
I actually want to connect with him on a whole other thing my project that I've been working on. So like literally listening to him talk.
Zae has a project he's working on and he won't fucking tell me.
No, I can't. I can't.
Top secret.
We're setting up for the podcast. He's like, hey yo, I got some shit I'm working on. I'm playing it close to the vest. And I was like, all right, cool.
It wasn't, especially before, it wasn't fully fledged out. But now I've been spending some time working on it. All I'm doing exactly what needs to happen. Here, we're serendipitously, we meet Kevin. Kevin's telling me all the stuff that I'm quite literally like, oh, pocket that. Oh, pocket that. Okay, cool. So,
like I said, which is the point of this show. Like I said, we want to self-improve. We want to network. You know what I'm saying? We just want to build we just want to spread out our reach, spread out our community. You know what I'm saying? And with this podcast, like I said, I want to be right in the fucking center of it. You know what I'm saying? Just like you want to be right in the center of any artist that's trying to do anything. You got to go through fucking Kevin, dog.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
I can't emphasize enough the importance of like going out of your comfort zone and growing a network and just like doing it, just go out there. Someone asks you to do something, unless there's a reason not to, try it, and a lot of times taking a chance and taking a step in a direction that maybe isn't the direction you normally go in can lead you to a new pathway that you'd never find. And honestly, I would never be doing Acoustic Revolt if it weren't for just some happenstance things that lined up and got me into that kind of deeper level of like hardcore punk rock here locally with my friend Aaron, so a lot of times it's just about that connection and taking a chance. And he invited me out to a New Year's party. I hadn't seen him in years, and I was happy to meet him and all of his friends. And I left that party the next day and I was like, well, I think these are the people, these are the people I want to start hanging out with.
This is the vibe.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tell me more about recruiting artists. Like, do you look for a particular sound, or is it just like you're just hanging out? Is it mostly people Like, how do you find these people? Is it are you using MySpace, Facebook? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What are we doing?
It's quite a combination. MySpace, I know, right? I know I'm old, but I don't go that far back in the book. I was a teenager back then. I guess I might have been early 20s, but yeah, no, I feel like I dip into all of those things on a regular basis, where I'm usually using a combination of word of mouth networking where people will reach out to me or they'll tell me that they have an act that they want me to check out. I'll ask them to send me a link and I'll see if it's something that looks like it vibes well with what we're doing. And in a lot of cases, I'll also go to a show and I'll see an artist and I'm, they might be doing the full band thing or maybe it's a solo acoustic thing. And I'll just see something there where I'm like, hey, I'll let them know what we do and I'll find out, oh, maybe they have a whole acoustic album that's ready to go and they're ready to jump in. Or in other cases, I got to kind of twist their arm a little bit and convince them that, you can do this solo acoustic thing on top of doing the full band thing and just kind of give it a shot and see if it's something you want to try. And we just had, my friend Adam just came out and did a show with us at Tower Bar, had never played a solo show in his entire life, like a solo acoustic show. He'd been doing the full band thing for, decades. And he just got out there and did his first show and he just crushed it. Like people were looking at me like, this is really his first show. I'm like, yeah, this is his first time ever doing the solo acoustic thing. And like his voice came through, like we were like, this guy's been so buried behind other artists over all the years. Yeah. He was playing bass and just doing a little bit of backup here and there, but like he should be up front. He's got a great voice, So props to Adam Hay for coming out and doing taking a chance and hanging himself out there and doing a show. And I think now he realizes like, gosh, he could do this solo thing on a regular basis.
So he's going to continue to do it.
Oh, I think we'll definitely be getting him in some rotations. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there tell me one artist that you've pulled in and you gave them a chance, and then when they did their thing, like in front of a crowd, up close and personal, you were like, all right, maybe they don't have it. You know what I mean? You thought they did, and then tell me about an artist that you brought in. You were like, what the fuck? This motherfucker's a star. They're next up. I'm gonna get rich off this motherfucker.
Right. Yeah. I'm not gonna bash any artist or say like, I didn't really like their set, but I did have an artist that I met, and this happens a lot where, I'm out having a good time with some friends, maybe out for a few hours, maybe a few more hours than I should be. And then someone else tells me they're in a band and I'm like, oh, I do Acoustic Revolt. You should do a show with me. And then I realize I invited someone to book a show and we got something going. I don't really know enough about them. And then all of a sudden we get a show underway and, I don't really have anything to go by in terms of, how, are they really going to be good live or do they just have maybe a good recording, And so some of those shows have been a little bit coming a little sideways where their vocal presence really wasn't as true to what I heard on the demo tape or whatever they sent me, and in other cases they just didn't really feel comfortable up there. It's scary as hell for a performer who's used to being up there with 5 people to get up there with an acoustic guitar and you can see like they're getting up there, their first tongue, their fingers are shaking, they can barely compose themselves because everyone's looking at them and every mistake, every note is heard and it's you.
Yeah. It's so I can ask actually both of you. I want to hear your take on this too, Zae. So like there are artists that really can't, like they might have a good recording, can't do it live. They might be nice live, but that can't translate into getting some good shit on tracks.
Yeah.
With my band, I've noticed that it's very difficult to get recordings to be how it is live. I feel like especially with the separate tracking of the instruments, you're losing a lot of the energy that the whole band is bringing together. Like you can feel it. And when it's separate, like either there's maybe like a disconnect or something. But I've been, these last few recordings, that has been specifically what I've been aiming at, is making it sound closer to live than it is when it's been recorded. I've only gotten one of the records that I've tracked to be actually good. And it was because it was an intimate song and it was quieter and it was a little bit more subdued. So it was so much easier to get the balance to be correct for a recording. And I the only thing I can think of is literally the feeling of the band behind you. And like Kevin's saying is like, you're on your own in that studio, right? And it's just you playing. And you hear all your mistakes, you hear everything that's wrong, so you just get into your head and slowly
I'm not too familiar with like how rock bands record. Like when I think of a rock band recording, I think of like videos I've seen of like Linkin Park recording with Rick Rubin. You know what I'm saying? You got like Chester in a small booth, but then you got the band playing outside that booth. And so that's what I thought. It was like the band is just going, and then you got the vocalists separated.
In a big studio, it's possible because you can isolate everything and have everybody play at the same time. But in smaller studios,
it doesn't really work usually.
Because there's too much bleed from the drums. Really, is what the bleed is, and you'll hear like a cymbal ringing through the door into the amp of the guitar, and you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. And then you go to like mix that specific amp, and you're like,
and it's killing you.
It's killing you. What is this ringing that's here? And you bring it up like a little bit, and you're like, oh my god, it's the cymbal. all right, well, fuck this. We got to start all the way over. I attempted to do it one time. Nope, not doing it again. Not until I have a big enough space to record everything. It's difficult, and you have to have it be perfect. Like there cannot be any issue with the setup, or else it's just all bad. It's crazy. Yeah.
You can end up wasting a lot of time if you don't get it set up right. Yeah,
And a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of money.
Yeah.
So much anger. Just like you're sitting back.
For
Yeah,
sure.
you're sitting back like, all right, it's fine. I didn't just spend $300 and 10 hours today doing this to want to throw it all away. Yeah, nope, not here. Nah.
What's it like recording a live band? Like, because you want to put the live performance on the album. So is it like, obviously you got your vocals, but is it like the drums mic'd up, bass mic'd up? Is it all that, or is it just everything is just feeding into one spot, and then you just take that recording?
I guess like with most of the artists I know who are kind of like DIY punk, but also usually will like fork out some money to do it with a professional studio. A lot of times they'll do like what's called a scratch track first, where they get the band together. They'll get the kind of root of what the song's supposed to sound like, and they'll track the whole thing and hopefully keep it real tight in tempo where they're actually playing to a metronome. And they'll use that as kind of like the foundational track, and they'll have each artist go in and they'll cut out their piece, and they'll just do one track of guitar, another track of guitar. They'll do bass, they'll add in the drums, or the order can vary drastically, but the idea is you got to isolate each instrument and have them do their own kind of performance on top of that scratch track. And that's a pretty typical method, at least for most punk artists.
Yeah.
It's a kind of fast and easy way to get it done.
Yeah, like I'm doing some recording on next Monday, or this upcoming Monday. So Sunday at our practice space, setting up mics for the scratch track. So it's like the worst recording you've ever heard, because everything's in the same room. You're literally just trying to get timing, the basic energy down, and anything that you like, any space that you can create for later, so that way you can think about what you want to put in there. And then you go in and it's like drums, guitar, bass, any extra guitars, and then vocals, and everybody's separate. And it's like we usually do like a 8 to 10 hour day, just because really our drummer's like particular on timing, and that takes like setups 2 hours, drums themselves like 2.5 hours.
Drums are a nightmare.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
Oh. And like, and especially if you got, I love my drummer because he needs it to be perfect. He refuses. He did drumline. And so he knows
those are the best.
Yes, yeah. I'm so thankful, because he's like, no, that's off. We're gonna redo it. At first, when I was doing it, I was getting a little irritated. I love it now, because I'm like, okay, perfect. I know you're right. Screw the grid. I'm making it go right to you.
Yep.
Unless you tell me to move it over, we're gonna make everything sound perfect to you. So that takes like 2.5, 3-ish hours if it's running long, and then whatever time we got left, or just get as much stuff as we can get done.
Yeah.
Usually we don't get vocals done that day. It's mainly just, I like to have it be intimate and have just the singer and myself, nobody else, no distractions. That way we can laugh and joke and like keep the energy going, like exactly what's needed. And nobody's in the back like questioning, oh, I don't know if that's, I should have sang like that. Just
I was the same way when I was rapping, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was rapping, I was like, I like me and the producer engineer, or if there's a producer and engineer, it's just us three or us two in the fucking room. Like I'm not.
You don't want to have a bunch of people.
Yeah, a lot of artists like they're
Makes
like,
it
yeah,
bad
gotta
vibe.
have the bitches, gotta have the drinks and the smoke, and everybody just chilling. It's a whole vibe, and we do that. I'm like, I need to fucking focus, dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can't. I'm thrown off by that. But to get back to what I asked you earlier, you said, all right, so you said you wouldn't tell us about an artist that you wouldn't knock any artist, but
right.
who was the artist that you
I
were?
will tell you who killed it.
Yeah, who killed it? Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to one of the like inspirational moments that really moved me and made me want to do Acoustic Revolt. There's this guy Brian McPherson, who's just bar none like one of the hardest working guys in the acoustic rock game. Like he has it
Brian
down.
McPherson.
Brian McPherson.
Right, shout out Brian.
Yep, and he plays harmonica, he plays guitar, he stomps, he sings, and he's an amazing singer-songwriter. And I was lucky enough to get him to come in, and I convinced him to do Acoustic Revolt at Rosie's. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where like I had him booked as like the headlining act, and there was a really big act right before him. And right after that act finished, no one really knew him as well because he's from out of town. And so unfortunately, everyone just left the show, and all we had was me, a couple of my friends, and there might have been 5 people watching. This like amazing, best in the game, vocalist, performer, singer, songwriter, and he still performed in a way where like we left that night just scratching our head like, how is this guy not famous? Like we were just like looking at each other like we just saw that. It's just like the 5 of us just saw that, and like that was like an amazing performance that we would have paid $50 for at the observatory, and we got it for free at Rosie O'Grady's because I booked it.
Right.
And after that I was like, we got to get him back. So I kept promising like we'll get people here, and over time now when we book him he gets a good following. So we've made I think probably 6-7 shows now where Brian's headlined, and we always have every time more people come in to check him out. So that's definitely an artist that has always brought it.
Oh yeah, shout out Brian
way.
McPherson. I'll probably put his shit down in description. But there was I don't know if I've been there to see Brian.
Probably not. No, he hasn't been out in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
He played my birthday, and that was the last time he was out in San Diego. So he'll probably be back. I'm sure it's by summer. Probably he'll probably be around. Cool.
Okay. There's 3 artists that come to mind. Even I've been at Rosie's for like
been a handful,
4 or 5. Yeah, 4 or 5. But there's 3 guys in particular. There's one I don't know their names.
Okay.
Forgive me guys if you do watch this podcast. I'm sorry for not knowing your names. But you'll probably know. There's one guy, I think he's dope as shit. He has like he comes through, he's like a straight up like, he reminds me of like some of these like white redneck boys that I see from back home in Maryland.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? He wears the glasses. He kind of talks with like a southern accent. Fuck, man.
Jackson.
Huh?
Jackson.
Is that his name?
I feel like I know exactly who you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of like a longer hair, or is it shorter hair?
Short hair. I don't know. He's usually wearing a hat, glasses, looks like he packs a dip. Like when he talks, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
I know
Like,
who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Tommy.
Is Tommy?
Is it Tommy?
Okay. When he performed, he went up like he's got like his pants sagging, with the dirty ass boots and like.
That sounds like Tommy to me.
Hey, he rips it when he goes on.
Yeah.
I fuck with him. I saw him. He actually came through. The last time you came through, he wasn't performing, but he came through to see the other guys.
Yeah.
And he sat next to me, and I looked at him, and I was like, dog. I was like, you're one of my favorite ones that come up here, dog. I was like, you're fucking dope.
Yeah, Tommy. He's one.
He was like, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. He was dope. My bad. You were gonna say something.
Oh, no, I was saying he's an OG like punk rock guy. He's been doing this for a long time, longer than I have by a long shot. And he's one of those guys that definitely, he got the early kind of Acoustic Revolt stuff off the ground with Rosie. So he used to work at Blind Lady right next door for a while. He was
really,
yeah. So he was popping into Rosie's quite a while. People knew him a lot in the neighborhood, and he still has a good draw of locals that come out to check him out. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's cool as shit. He comes through. He has like like I said, he has like that whole like, you know what I'm saying, kind of like country boy vibe, and he's just chilling. He drinks his Bud Light or whatever he's drinking, Budweiser. I don't know, but like he's just straight chilling. And then you had. And then you had this one, it was like this skinny white dude. He may be like a little older. Yeah. And then like, he didn't really have like, his lyrics weren't really like on rhythm. They were more like, it was like poetry. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Was it the Canadian guys? Did you get any merch from him?
The Canadian guys who I bought the merch from.
Okay, I'm not, Seth. Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be third on my list.
Okay.
Yeah. Seth is cool as fuck.
Gotcha. The other one was more recent, the Micah Schnabel one, I think.
Yeah, and like his lyrics were like, I don't know, like the girl is smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
She's thinking about pulling out her pistol. Killing everybody in the bank.
That's on. Yes, spot on. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he had that, and I was like,
Micah does the spoken word stuff. Years back, like his stuff was very typical kind of punk rock, folk acoustic stuff, and then he just got kind of tired of doing that, and he kind of switched it to the more kind of spoken word, kind of poetry with the guitar, and I think it makes it unique. People get tired of hearing the same pop punk kind of vibe. So when you move away from the power chords and try and get some instrumentation with some interesting lyricism, it brings a dynamic that I think people appreciate.
When I was listening to him, I was like, it sounds cool what he's doing, the spoken word, but I was like, if he made it more like rhythmic, maybe like, you know what I'm saying, you just slow it down for a little bit, you get your shit off, you do the spoken word, and then you pop off again. Cause like he would do what he does, and he would be like, and then like pop into like a chorus or something. And like, I thought he was dope. And then last but not least, obviously the Seth guy from the Canadian.
Seth Anderson, yeah.
I bought his merch. I was like,
show,
give me that shit, bro. You killed it.
Yeah.
Welcome to America.
He's hoping to make it back out here soon. So we're working on a couple of show ideas for him for the late spring. If not, we'll definitely get him out here in the summer. He loves Southern California. I think we shouldn't have too much trouble getting him out here. But from Canada, it's a bit of a distance. Yeah, and he's got to work out that visa stuff too, which is kind of a pain in the ass for a lot of our out of town acts.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm very lucky that I had the ability to help them work on that stuff and get it all set up for them before they head out. But it's just such a nightmare. I've heard so many stories about people who come out from another country and they end up just getting all these hurdles you shouldn't have to deal with, going from state to state, or if they decide they want to go to Mexico, it's just, it's a whole new, can of worms you got to open up. Yeah.
Also, you had that, the last time you had that one girl, was she from Michigan?
Yeah.
With the glasses?
Yeah, she lived in Michigan for a bit. Yeah. She currently is like kind of up in like the San Bernardino, LA kind of area. Yeah. Miski. Yeah. From City Mouse. And she should be popping in quite a bit. She's really good friends with Red Brontosaurus Records, who's helping to put out the new album that we're gonna be doing for the compilation.
Oh, nice. You want to get into that new album now?
Let's go ahead and plug that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. So we finished like the COVID era, and I was like I mentioned, I'm not really looking to get back on the stage and do the Acoustic Revolt thing myself as a performer, but I definitely want to keep booking and like keep the spirit alive. And I was trying to find a way to like keep active and get other people, motivated to want to continue to play. So I figured I'd start asking people if they maybe were interested in doing like a split where we could get maybe, a few artists together. We could, come out with a CD release of a few artists. And then it kind of snowballed into, a full length album, and we got 9 artists that agreed to play. And I was shocked that it wasn't just local people. Like I was throwing feelers out there to people who were going to be coming through town. And I would ask them, hey, I've got this little compilation. We're going to be doing it for charity. It's all the proceeds are going to go to the San Diego Food Bank, and we're going to be cutting it on vinyl. So that's been a whole,
that's cool,
a whole new thing for me. I've never done vinyl. It's a tricky bit of work to get things, especially the way that we're doing them, because we're doing essentially live sessions in my studio, because people don't have the time to dedicate 4 hours of time to a little charity thing. They might be able to give me an hour and a half. So I set everything up ahead of time and have them come in and track. And the live sessions usually turn out spectacular, but because every artist is just a little bit different, every guitar is a little different, I can't really get a consistent sound because the instrumentation, the vocals are always going to be different. So
so not to cut you off.
Yeah.
This just got better than me because when we talked about compilation album earlier, I thought it was more like these guys record their own shit, or like they record their own shit for the album, like wherever they're at, and they send it in, you just throw it on the album. But no, you're saying these guys are coming into your studio, recording a song specifically for this album.
Yeah, it's a unique performance. Yeah, so for some of them, like they might not be an acoustic performer, so this is one of the only cuts that even exists of that. So I had a couple people come in. One of my friends that came to play my birthday party, Chase from Half Man, came in, and I just happened to ask him a couple days before the performance, like, would you want to maybe jump in the studio while you're here? Because he was staying with me. I was like, we can knock it out the morning before my birthday, and we'll just, hit record and see what happens. And he was like, yeah. He's like, he wasn't even bringing his guitar. He was going to use my guitar. And I was like, yeah, let's just have you rock my T5 and we'll see what it sounds like. He came in, tuned his guitar, and first take was just like, it was beautiful. It was perfect. And I couldn't have asked for anything more of him. And every time I listen to that song, I get more into it. So I know it's going to be a banger. It's a hit. So that's one of the only recordings that I know of that song right now. So, having that in my pocket is amazing that we got him in to do that and add and contribute to that already amazing compilation. But getting people from out of town to contribute was just something I wasn't ready for and wasn't expecting, but I'm so glad we made it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Question? No. I was just like, this is cool. If this is you're talking about like towards the end, I have that question that is for the end. But
okay. All right. My next.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Let's see. My next question is, so how's this going to drop? Are you guys coming through Rosie's with it? And what are you going to do with it? I'm going to listen to your answer. Then I'm going to go take a piss and Zay's going to question you.
Yeah. Next plug. Now that we have the album recorded, it's been sent off, it's getting cut. We should hopefully have something in our hands in April, and that happens to align perfectly with Adam's Unplugged. So we have Adam's Unplugged coming out in April, and so
Unplugged is in April.
Yeah,
that's when I started coming around here.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we've got 3 acts that are going to be doing Rosie's for Unplugged. I've got one of the guys is going to be featured actually on Volume 2, because we're going to be doing multiple volumes of the Acoustic Revolt now.
Both coming out this year.
So the first one's going to be out within probably the month of April. The next volume will probably be dropping hopefully over summer. But depends on how fast I can get everyone into track,
Yeah.
But a good friend of mine, Kieran, who's played a bunch of Acoustic Revolts, great guy. He's from Liverpool. He's got just a distinct sound because he's Irish, but he's got that kind of Liverpool grit. And he's just a
Fuck
sweet.
Liverpool. Sorry, I'm a Chelsea
I,
fan.
I was gonna say, is that a soccer? Football reference? Yeah.
I'm gonna go Pete. Zay,
Go for it.
Take it.
Yeah, so I'll be having him come out. We also have Plants, which is an amazing local act that started off with me just doing some acoustic stuff and kind of rolled into bigger band production. So Cam will be playing with Alice as a duet, and they're going to be rocking acoustic stuff. And then we have the Johnny Wagon Trio. And Johnny Wagon's like an iconic person here in San Diego who's been through like 4 or 5 different big bands, like 7 pieces, horns and everything. Good. And he's got this trio set up now where he's figured out, it just makes more sense to kind of get it stripped down in a point now where they've got a stand-up bass and they've got an electric guitar, and he's right up front with the acoustic and his amazing vocals and songs. And he's just such an amazing lyricist that having him up front with a trio, I think he's really going to shine and shimmer that way.
Nice. That's awesome. Unplugged is crazy. It was actually the first or second week I worked second weekend I worked at Rabbit Hole was Unplugged.
Oh, okay. It was wild, man. There were, this whole street was going off.
It's so crazy. Like the whole street's blocked off. Everybody's here listening to music. Like, my band, that was the biggest thing, is that we actually got 2 shows off of it because somebody was walking by, heard it, stopped, listened outside, came in, sat down, was able to sit behind a steep spot and listen to us play the whole time, and came up to him afterwards and was like, hey, we got to find something. You guys are wonderful. I love the fact that that is quite literally its purpose, is to get people to
exposure.
Yeah. To know who's around in San Diego and to play. One of my favorite questions we ask artists, what's something that you need to work on this year, and what's a goal that you have in mind that you want to accomplish? Because you can easily cop out and say these two compilation albums, I need something different for your goals.
Yeah. My goal is to really focus on being able to, when people ask to book a show, sometimes I just need to say no, because my bandwidth is I think there was a point in January where I had probably 8 people hit me up to book a show for them within a month or 2. And I was like, I kept saying yes to people because I like their music, but at the same time, I don't have time to do that. I've already got 2 other jobs on top of this, So I got to really pump the brakes a little bit on wwho I say yes to when they ask for help booking a show. Right. So there are some people that I get connected with. It's a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing, and they want me to book a show for them from out of town. And in some cases, I've got to maybe send those people to someone else to help them book those. So that way, I can grow Acoustic Revolt in the direction that I want to, and really make sure we're getting the highest quality and high caliber local artists, and also the best touring acts that we possibly can, instead of having me burnt out and then the show doesn't end up getting promoted the way it's supposed to, and it's not organized right. So making sure I can actually do this the right way instead of just trying to increase volume. It's all about getting the right work.
And then what's something that you struggle with that you're you're trying to improve upon?
Yeah, I think I need to probably make better connections with artists when they're not touring and they're not connecting with me, to reach out to them and see kind of where they're at. Because a lot of times I've had artists that have kind of dipped out, and a lot of times they just feel like they're not getting any love, and they just need someone to just say, hey, we miss you out here. We want you to come back out. And sometimes that's all it takes for that person to hear that and know that they're appreciated, come out, do a show, and all of a sudden they've they've rekindled this love of getting in front of people and playing. So reaching out to people, not just because I need them and want them on a show, but just because I love them and love their music and their art, and trying to reel them back in and get them, get them the right way.
What about your shit? You personally as an artist, if you had to hold yourself accountable, what do you need to work on?
I got to carve out time, trying to carve out a specific amount of time each week where I can either sit down and actually play guitar, write some lyrics, get in the studio and record something. Making the time to make that happen is really hard when I'm trying to juggle all this stuff. But it's the least important thing every week, but it's in the long run, it's extremely important.
It's important,
to me, So it's easy to kick that one to the curb. And then all of a sudden I realize I'm frustrated, I'm depressed and pissed off at the world. And I'm like, why do I feel this way? It's because I don't have music in my life the way I want it,
Yep. Right. Yeah. And how would you big yourself up? What separates you from other artists? Why do you think I'm him?
Yeah, you mean
why do you do this shit?
Because me specifically as a musician, or I think what makes me unique as an artist and dynamic is I have an interesting vocal tone that I think doesn't really match up or align with anyone else's. But when people ask me who I sound like, it's really hard for me to pin down a specific artist because I tend to modify my voice to sound pretty unique and true to myself. And I don't try to sound like someone. I try and sound like me and do the best like vocal version of me that I can do. Whereas when I was younger and I was always trying to imitate someone. And so that's something that I think I take pride in is that, when I sing, it's my voice and no one else out there sounds like me.
Hell yeah. Good answer, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You guys heard that, folks. You got to do you. And I don't know where we're at time-wise, but I'm good unless you got anything else, Zay.
Oh, great interview. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, appreciate you, man.
Really appreciate
Thank
you.
both of you guys for having us, and me and the people who do Acoustic Revolt are all very grateful for giving us the time to share the story of what Acoustic Revolt is. And I'm really looking forward to the next shows at Rosie's because we got some bangers coming up with some big artists, and this summer is going to be spectacular.
Do you have dates for them yet? Or
So the Unplugged is the next up and coming one that I have on the books.
It's mid-April, right?
April, yeah. April 27th. I think 27th.
Okay, late
yeah.
April. Okay.
April 27th, yeah. So I'm taking some time to make sure that the album gets released right. There might be a couple of shows at Tower here and there that I'm going to be working on and helping out with. I don't think we're going to do anything at Rosie's unless the album happens to get it in my hands really early. Then maybe we might do a proper release.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry if you already said this, but what's the name of the album?
Yeah, so it's Dreadnought Volume 1.
Dreadnought Volume 1.
Yeah, so Dreadnought is actually the name of the most common type of acoustic guitar is a Dreadnought acoustic.
Okay.
And so I camel case it where it's dread, not as one word, like a don't worry, be happy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Because as we were tracking this thing, it's funny because I had the name in mind and everyone just kind of had this same kind of, it's not the end of the world, but shit sucks.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man. I like that. Hey, Acoustic Revolt presents Dreadnought Volume 1 coming out in April. I am excited. Kevin, thank you for coming on. Is any socials you wanna promote right now? You can that's your shot right there. And go ahead and tell these people.
Yeah, so check it out on Instagram. You can catch the Acoustic Revolt link to our website where you can see any of the artists that we book on a regular basis. We have all their YouTube channels and everything featured there. So head out to the website. Hit me up on Instagram if you want to play Acoustic Revolt. Send me a link. I'd love to check it out.
You want to tell them the name of
Just acoustic at Acoustic Revolt SD.
Cool. That is Acoustic Revolt SD, and I will put that in the description. I'm looking at the wrong fucking shot. And you want to follow me on Instagram at Taj.Ayana. That is TAJ.AYANA on Instagram. Hit me up. And Zay, what do we got?
Nothing yet.
And Zay does have an Instagram. I put it in the last description. Go check out episode 2. Zay has an Instagram.
It's got literally nothing because it doesn't need to exist.
We're about to get Zay more followers. We're gonna get him active on social media.
Don't worry.
This guy's fucking tripping right now.
Nah, with that plan that's coming, the socials are right around the corner. So don't worry. Just let it ride. Let it ride.
And I'm on IG right now. More socials coming from me. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna within the weeks to come. I think I'll pop up with the Twitter and the Facebook. But right now, just on IG. Once again, Kev, appreciate you. I know you got to text. You got to text wifey. You got to let her know. I'm coming home.
I swear I'm
coming home.
I think I screwed up my own handle for. Hold on.
All right, hold on. He has to get his handle right.
Yeah, it's Acoustic Revolt. It's just Acoustic Revolt.
All right, we've been at the rabbit drinking, folks. All right, hey, thought I was cool. Taj Ayana, Zay,
Kevin.
Kev,
Cheers.
Acoustic Revolt. Appreciate you guys. Peace.